Bonjour mes amis, bonjour mes amis, bonjour mes amis, hello my...
Hi guys, welcome to Truth Talkin Thursday. This is Jim. I'm Jane. The last couple weeks we've been talking about parenting. We talked about praise versus encouragement in parenting our children. And this is going off on a little bit of a different angle here, but I got thinking about, probably because somebody mentioned it, about sending our kids to school and how parents make the choice to send their children to French Immersion as opposed to a regular public school or a regular Catholic school. And I know that education is something that Jim is very passionate about, and so I guess I have a few questions, Jim.
Fire away, Jim.
So, okay. There's something that bothers me about French Immersion, and that is the stigma that I have heard that is attached to it, that children who attend French Immersion schools are smarter and more well-behaved, and they just have far more life opportunities than other children. And it really, really, really gets under my skin, big time. And I guess what I'm wondering is that a fact? Do children that attend those schools have an advantage that other children do not, in your opinion?
In my humble opinion.
In your humble opinion, Jim.
My humble opinion. Do they have more of an advantage? So that's basically your question. Like, are they seen as being smarter? Are they seen as being better suited for?
Is it a fact that when they come out the other end, they have more of an advantage than a similar child? You got to compare the level of academics that each student is capable of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, does one have a better advantage than the other?
Personally, I don't think they do. I think it.
Why?
I think it really depends on their employment aspirations. Where do they want to work for the federal government? They have to have a second language. They have to be able to speak fluent French if they want a government job. Even that, I don't agree with. But
can I ask you this? Then you said they have to speak fluent French.
If they want to work for the feds.
If one applied oneself,
mm-hmm.
would one be able to speak fluent French if one took French all the way through public school and high school, as is the course outline?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't think they have to go to French Immersion to learn French.
To be able to speak fluent French.
I mean, if you really, let's hypothetically speaking, a kid goes to school, he doesn't take French. I think it's as the course curriculums stand. I think, and I could certainly stand to be corrected here, but I think you have to take French the first year. I think, and then after that, it becomes a voluntary sort of thing. Most parents would say you're going to continue. You're going to learn, because most parents are under the misconception that if you learn French, you're going to be smarter. You'll have a better opportunity to work at a job when you're finished. And I don't see it that way. Like I say, I think if you had a desire to work in a career that was allocated to you by the federal government, and they say, I mean, it's almost, in a way, it's almost discriminating. Well, you don't speak fluent French, you can't work here. Excuse me. I pay taxes. I'm certainly qualified for the position that's available. The only thing I don't do is speak French, and because I don't, then I can't work for the federal government. Mm-hmm. I got a problem with that. Mm-hmm. Getting back to your initial thing, though, are they better prepared? Do they stand a better chance? Are they seen as different? Are they seen as smarter and stuff like that? Unfairly, I think they are.
But that's just like a social. We've been trained socially to think that because you do that, you are smarter.
You're going to be, yeah. See, well, if you learn how, if you could speak 5 languages, how much smarter would you be again?
Right.
Sort of thing.
Well, I know that in my growing up years, I remember hearing different comments about having a well-rounded education and the benefits of that, i.e., students who read, students who tend to read more than others, students who play a musical instrument, students who have an extracurricular activity, whether it be hockey, dance, skating, whatever. Those students have, I'm not sure what word I'm looking for. I know I said well-rounded education. I guess an overall well-rounded life. And I guess from that aspect, I would agree with that. But I think what's interesting is just before we press record on here, Jim and I had a really interesting chat, and I wondered if you would share that, Jim. I think that having said what I just said, some of those choices that younger individuals make are either A, because their parents put them in those kind of extracurricular activities, or B, because they want to and they choose it. And that want to and choose it is what Jim made an excellent point on.
I think, and I don't mean to upset any viewers here, but certainly if you're a staunch supporter of French immersion schools and stuff, that I'm not trying to upset anybody here. I'm just trying to look at it from a practical point of view. But the idea, for me, we have to ask ourselves as a collective here: is our focus on our kids learning how to speak a second language, in French in this case? How's that motivated? Is it motivated politically? So in other words, we have to do this because if we don't, we're going to upset a lot of French-speaking people in the country, and there's going to be this whole debate about, should we be a part of the country or not? My thing is, hey, listen, if you don't want to be part of the greatest country in the world, float down the St. Lawrence if you want. I mean, you're not going to have a better opportunity at a free life and a free opportunity to live your life as you choose to live it if in any other country, as far as I'm concerned. Move to the States, Anyway, I don't want to go there. But is it politically motivated, or is it socially motivated, or is this notion that every kid needs to know how to speak French as well as English? But how is that motivated into our culture? How does it? I know that we're bilingual in terms of how we got together. We got Upper Canada and Lower Canada. I got all that history stuff. I understand that. But this is today. This isn't history. This is today. Is it practical today? Should we not be learning how to speak in Asian dialects? Because the Asian folk are coming here and seeing the benefits of living in this great country, and so maybe we need to learn how to speak Chinese or dialects. There's hundreds of them, so let's get at it. I mean, how is it motivated? What's behind the drive or the belief system that we're all going to be better off if our kids learn how to speak French?
Well, Jim, you also mentioned as well, along with that point that you just made, you also mentioned a very good point about the student themselves choosing. And I know, for an example, we did talk a little bit before too about the French program in high school, and I think I agree with Jim. I think it's only the first year, I think it's grade 9, that you have to take French, and then you have a choice. And I do remember hearing my friends complain about it. They hated taking French. They hated it. But personally myself, I liked it. I thought it was really cool to learn another language, the accents, and I mean, I wasn't perfect at speaking it, but I excelled at it. I thought it was interesting. And I think languages are interesting, but that's me personally. And when I said that, that's when Jim shared about this, offering the students a chance to choose themselves. And that, right there, that point is where the rubber meets the road in a nutshell. That Absolutely. Right there makes the whole difference in the outcome of what that student is actually worth.
Yes, and just as a side here, and I'd be happy to have an extended version of our talk situation sometime to explain the new sort of educational paradigm that's being developed at the moment as we speak. And how education and how we educate our kids is going to change dramatically, and it's already starting to do that now, because the educators just understand that if kids have the choice, they're going to learn more faster. There's no question about that. The research is done. It's been done for years and years. Anyway, that's a whole other thing, like I said. But I think I think if the motivation to include it in our curriculums needs to be really talked about and debated. I'm sure that there's some upsides to it, there's downsides to it, but the whole idea, like Jane was saying, is the students, the kids, the learners, as we call them now, learners are the ones that should make the decision as to what it is they learn. And if they don't want to learn French, then why are we forcing them to learn French? Most parents send their kids to school under the assumption that they're going to get what they need, and they're not. So the kids know what they need long before the parents know what they need. Anyway.
I think that's an excellent point that you just made. I think that as parents, we do that. We definitely just expect that our children are going to get what they need. We trust, we place blind trust in a system that has been there forever, and the fact is that system is outdated and needs to be replaced. And that's what Jim is saying, and that's what Jim is working on, and I can't wait to share it on here when it gets closer to a point where Jim is ready to. I would be thrilled if he would if he would share that with us, because I'm super excited about it. I think there is big change on the horizon for us as a society, as the world over, and it's exciting, and it's bound to make big change in good ways.
Yeah, and thanks for the plug. I really appreciate it.
Thinking for myself, I believe that when we don't apply ourselves, the end result is not up to the standard that we are capable of. And sometimes there's a reason that we don't apply ourselves, and sometimes it's simply because of disinterest.
Yeah, we're bored.
We just are not interested.
We're just bored.
Sure. And that in itself is the reason that things don't end up where we expect them to end up.
I'm curious, I know we're probably
way over?
Yes, but I'm curious here in terms of your experience with French. And it's just a curiosity. It's certainly not meant to be a slam or anything like that. You enjoyed the language, and you enjoyed learning how to speak it. Could you speak it now fluently?
Fluently, no. But
could you make yourself
certainly
understood if you were in a French family or in a French business?
I could probably introduce myself and tell them how I am.
Je m'appelle James. I can do that. And I didn't take
Come on to bed too.
Yeah. And if you can, that's great. If you can't, what it does is it points out that if no matter how much you enjoyed it, if you don't get to use it all the time, you forget it.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Exactly.
So that's that. Have a great week.
And thanks for stopping by.